Just so you know, last year, about this time, one of the most received pieces of feedback we got was that it was too dark in here. So we turned the lights up, and one of the pieces of feedback we kept getting a few minutes ago was that we can't see the slides. So we're trying to accommodate here, so we're trying to work with you, make sure that you can see it, hear it, and everything will work well. So we've dimmed the lights a little bit. It's a little bit darker in here. Just wanted to give you a heads up. That's an intentional thing. We're trying to make the presentations as good as they can be. On your tables right here, and you saw it out there, is you saw the pucker powder, the big dispenser. There's also another product on the table that is from our next speaker. His name is Scott Green. He's going to talk to us about the process of product design. How you go from having an idea, how do you work that through so that you've got a final finished product that you can put out there in the market. He founded Creative Concepts in 1997, and they designed interactive candy dispensing systems, as well as developed top-notch flavors and candies. Pucker powder and other candy products are now sold by Creative Concepts in 50 countries. Please welcome Mr. Scott Green.
Hi everyone, how y'all doing today? Good, I see you got some candy there. A little before lunch. I try not to eat pucker powder before lunch. But anyway, happy to be here. Jonathan, you guys, thanks for putting it all together. I'll have a presentation somewhere. So I'm talking about product design, if I can figure this thing out, and development. For us, again, starting in 1997, we didn't have any money, so I had to design everything. And since that time, have designed and redesigned a lot. I know that, there we go. So, my head shop was a little old. I figured, you know, as of this morning, I actually took a new one. And thanks to my 10-year-old son, it's funny, he was drawing this up, and I was telling him I was speaking today, and I said, you know, how would your dad look, and what would you say about him? And I don't want to tell you what any of this stuff means, but anyway, pucker powder. Our company is really trying to call ourselves Creative Concepts. Pucker powder happens to be the candy. You made the powder version of that. On the table, there's a little roll, a couple different colors of rolls. We actually don't make those in-house. We brand those. We're pretty proud of our brand. We sold in, and I'm not going to read this whole bit here. I really just want to go over kind of the timeline for us. But we sell currently in probably upwards of about 50 countries. We have distributors that we use. They have sub-distributors. And our main thing, even though a lot of what I do personally and have done is design and development, our main thing is that we push that powdered product out the door. And that at the end user locations, whether it's a theme park, whether it's any kind of entertainment venue, a candy shop, as you could imagine, zoos, science centers, that we have machines that are working properly, that it's easy to interact with for the consumers, and that the kids are having fun. Ultimately, again, we do sell candy, but really, we're in the business of selling smiles, and you have to need candy to go with it. So, starting in '97, we didn't start in candy. We actually started in sand equipment. Just prior to '97, for those of you that are from Birmingham, have been here a while, I was in a business called Jam and Jim. It was a family thing, sort of like a Chuck E. Cheese. Brian, you've been there, played at it, probably hit your head on it. So anyway, it was like a Chuck E. Cheese. It was an interesting business. Ultimately, it really kind of sucked. But it was a good way to get me into designing and developing product. First thing we did was sand, just like the sand art that we've all seen at, whether it's a fair or festival where you make a container, a little bear or star or something, and you fill it up with colored sand. And we did it for that business. Sold it to kids, it did well. It didn't look very good, but it did well as this gravity-fed dispenser. Well, ultimately, we took that concept. We used to attend some trade shows. We exhibit these trade shows. We attended them. They were called IAAPA and Fun Expo. They were for the amusement industry. IAAPA is International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. And so as opposed to attending, we went and we exhibited. So I built this big hulky thing, and again, it didn't look very good. We didn't have the money at that point to do much of anything. I had a couple commercial sewing machines because we used to make some play equipment, and we made a big duffel bag, and I carried my entire booth in a bag on my back, and it went from like here to here. And I'm pretty short, but it was pretty tall. And back now 911, you could never carry all this metal and tools and all the stuff that I did carry, but we did carry it. So we took it to shows, and people saw it, and ultimately they thought it was interesting, but I think as they walked away, they're like, who the hell is he going to sell that crap to? But we were thinking that maybe I would sell and design these machines. Well, we ended up selling to Carnival Cruise Lines, great name. We got onto all their ships with it. They kept ordering them as they put out new ships, which was great, but we didn't really get any other customers. So a couple years in, 98, 99, we had, my wife and I, we were at a candy shop. We saw a tube, looked like sand, but it was candy. And it was powdered candy, it was in layers, but it was pre-made. And so it wasn't a far stretch to imagine making machines to dispense powdered candy. So I went down that path and started designing this equipment. This is the first machine in '99. We sold about 20 of them. Part of the R&D wasn't the problem. Sure, it took a lot of time and effort, but once we got 20 orders, then we had to manufacture them. And so that adds a lot of complication to your business and business model and making things happen, especially when they're custom. So many of the things were custom, and it was a great learning experience. So ultimately, we phased that out, and we started going with a linear. I know these pictures are hard to see, but we went with a linear machine. This was linear, but this was a little more modular, easy to make. I was understanding manufacturing a little bit more, so we're speccing out plastics, cutting plastics. We're cutting, laser cutting metals and getting them bent, getting them powder coated and putting them all together. We made a little case for this thing. I was intimately involved in everything we did. I think in a matter of about 6 months, and I couldn't afford a pop rivet gun, a pneumatic one, which was unbelievable when we did buy one. But I had a little hand rivet gun, and I think I riveted like 25,000, 30,000 rivets over a small period of time. And so I still have wrist issues from it. But anyway, we went from this machine, and we sold a couple hundred of these throughout 2000, 2001. And mostly to those customers that we found through those original trade shows. And those original trade shows are important for us, for sure, amusement parks and attractions, but it's funny, the amusement park and attraction show, you actually don't really find the buyers there. We go to the gift shows, and we find it there, but the buyers for those parks, they don't need to buy rides. The ones that matter to us, they need to buy shirts and cups and other things, and so they go to the gift shows. And there's a big souvenir gift show in Gatlinburg. And so we go to that show, and that was a great opportunity for us to start growing. Well, at the same time that we started growing and then decided to go to other shows, there was a need for other equipment and different equipment. And so we did a round machine back in 2002. And that was very important. That's really what set the stage for us to be able to grow in these locations, the bigger, busier locations. For those that have either traveled, you probably, hopefully you've seen Pucker Powder. It could be at Disney, Six Flags, SeaWorld, a number of places. So we kept morphing and changing and doing kind of mechanism designs, machine designs, and then really focusing on our logo and graphics. Again, I know it's hard to see these things, but over the years, we have redesigned and designed a bunch of mechanisms, a bunch of different machines, our logo. We've taken our character and morphed our character into many different forms. So if you go to SeaWorld, you might see our Pucker character on a roller coaster, or if you go to a cave, we sell the tourist caves, DeSoto Caves, other places, you might see them in a mining hat, stuff like that. So we have carried on from this start of this round machine back here, and then started getting into some branded products like you see. Over the last 2011, 2012, 13, we started designing some other new mechanisms and some other stuff I'll show you at the end of the presentation. So, if I can make this thing work, get up here. Who are you? So you're here, you're not really here to hear about me, you're here to hear about your business, how to work on a business, how to design, maybe you are working on product development. And when I tell people that I have a number of patents, or we've applied for patents, we've applied for about 5 in the last 16 months. You know, I don't like to use this word inventor, because inventor is just a very small part of the business. You can go invent all day long. I'm sure as you look at this word and think about it, every one of you has probably come up with an idea, or you thought of something to make something better, and you thought, well, heck, I could just go get that made and I'll sell a whole bunch of them. But that's just the smallest piece of it. And without the invention part, or the design and development, obviously you can't get to the point of trying to sell anything. But you're really an entrepreneur. And so you have to set that inventor side apart, minimize it, okay, and be an entrepreneur. So what you design and develop, you got to build it into whatever model is going to work, however you're going to sell it. Whether you're going to manufacture it yourself, have it manufactured and sold, all the other parts and pieces of the business that really are going to, at the end of the day, make you successful, or because of what your skill set might be here. But I do want to talk about invention and how we do it, how it's worked for us. These are a couple inventions. I don't know how well these people marketed these inventions. Another great invention. Again, great ideas. People have all kinds of ideas. This couple might, you know, I don't know if that's something for them or not. Wonderful, Parker powder. We didn't do this, but someone else did it. They reinvented our stuff. As you can tell, this is a candy shop in Hollywood. We had no idea. We sold them a whole machine. They took it apart and they stuck it in here. But it's there, and it's a popular place, so they sell product. So be it. So invention. We're at the beginning. You can start with a need, an idea, a suggestion, a desire. For us, as you'll see again, a couple parts, reinvention for us is just a need that we have to put it out there. Maybe we want to make it better, easier to use, less expensive to manufacture. So for us, the cycle works. I try not to start too quickly on the computer in our CAD design. It tends to lock you in. So we try, there's myself and another gentleman at work, we kind of work hand in hand. I tend to drive our innovation, but anyone, we need to be open for ideas. So in the very beginning, we're going to be brainstorming, we're going to be whiteboarding, hand sketch, maybe mock up some prototypes. It could be real crude, out of wood, or we have a 3D printer in-house. So those of you, I imagine today, there's been so much talk about 3D printers. I imagine most of you know what that is. So we use it a lot. I'm printing something right now, as a matter of fact. We're going to design, redesign. We're going to go to CAD at some point. But again, not too early. Then we'll start testing. And then, as you see, obviously there's a circle around, there's a circle up, and there's an arrow up and down. This is a continual, open-ended process for us that we can't ever stop, and you can't ever be too proud. You've got to take ideas, and you have to be willing to throw things out. We might spend hundreds of hours on things, but we'll throw them out if need be. So in that process, we got inputs, of course. We have our own manufacturing knowledge base of how metals might bend and the certain angles that they bend, the radii, and if they stretch or whatnot, plastics, how they might react, what's doable, what's moldable if we go to injection mold for plastics, or if we do a vacuum form. We use a bunch of different processes. So. And we also would seek expert advice. Again, not trying to be too proud and always willing to go to the experts if we can find them for whatever it is, whatever process we're trying to do. We don't have the electronics on our stuff, but we used to on some things that we had designed. And we might in the future. And so again, we're going to go to experts there. Strategic partner advice. Who could that be? I mean, really, it could be a kid end user that uses our stuff, and we watch them and they can't get the tube or whatever it is that they're doing. They can't make it work. They can't figure it out. So instructionally, we might change things, or mechanically, we might change things. So standards and costs, that's one of the things I mentioned early on back when we were down here in our timeline in the late 90s. So standards, do you work on metric? We try not to here, but we work on quarter inches and half inches and just things that are easily obtained if it's a nut or a bolt or hole sizes, fitting in a door. We did a great machine, big round one that was in that picture. It was 36.5 inches. So if anyone knows door sizes, typically you're going to go into a retail shop, you might see a 36-inch door. So half inch matters. You can't really, that metal doesn't like to compress. So we take apart machines and we have molds, we have all kinds of stuff. So we screwed up, yes. But it's a good machine, and when we get it in place, it's great. And when we have places that have double doors, that's fantastic. But we have had to take it apart. One close to home here was, whatever the name of the place is now, Alabama Adventure, or whatever you want to call it today. So we took it apart. So if you see that machine, it's stuck. That is kind of a beauty, you know, it's built in. Hey, you want to get rid of your machine? Sorry. You can't get it out the door. You tell them about it, please. So, and cost. So we're going to look at the cost, you know, with those. As long as we try to work around the standards, we'll try to look at the cost of certain things there, and it's all across the board. But and not really lastly, but don't fit a square peg into a round hole. So one of the things is here that's important for us and me really is that I don't try and go to my computer too early, because all that's going to do is make me try to figure that first bit of drawings out. And really, this is like it's like a movie, and you're playing scenes in the movie. And what I do a lot of times is you got to live it, and so you're living the design. And as you can't sleep at night or whatnot, then you're living it, and you're playing it over and over in your head, the different iterations that you might be able to accomplish with it, or what might work best, and to bring some clarity to it. So again, don't fit a round peg in a square peg in a round hole. The next for us internally, we have some committees, plural, because it just depends on what it is. It could be a graphical element. Where do we put our name? Where do we put someone else's brands? Sizes mechanically, all kinds of stuff. We will go from there, that committee, and maybe it does go back up and then go back through this process, because as we do zone in, here we try not to get, when we've gotten advice up front from a number of people, we do have to kick the cooks out of the kitchen, because we all have ideas. I could sit down with any one of you and have great ideas, I'm sure, but we do have to zone in and focus on something. So after we've done something and have something to show, then we can go to a committee or someone else for the idea. And this, if you are working on something as a design, then you can go outside. People could use your product if it's a product. Family's a little tough though, because they might not be honest about it. So you want honesty, and you got to be able to handle it. You can't be emotional about any of it. So once we can get here, back, and then we go down to manufacturing. And this is a lesson, and sometimes we're kind of dumb about this. Specifications equals expectations and results. One of the most important things. This has repeated itself over and over and over. And if we don't give the specifications, we do buy out of China. Currently, we probably have about 45 molds being cut in China that go together for some different assemblies. But very important. So we go, and once the parts or molds are manufactured, we're going to get final parts. We're going to tweak them, test them, send it back to the manufacturer, the changes needed. Then once we get through this, then we might go to patent and trademark applications. And this is the funny part here, sales and inventory. Which one comes first? So oftentimes, this might come first. So the inventory could come first. That's the risk side. We all have, there's risk in all of this, but that's the risk side. But what can you sell if you don't have it? So then we do buy the inventory, and then we make sales, and then all of a sudden we go to this for real. Because even if you do in-house or go test somewhere with a group, it's still not actual in the field. So it's actual in the field, and over time, that you'll get this feedback and then go back up through here. So projecting, I've got a couple things. I promise there's no rabbit or anything. One of the early designs that I had shown, this is a little machine that we sell to people in the amusement rental business. They might rent out a moonwalk, cotton candy machine, and they could rent out this little Parker powder machine. So I designed this back in '06, I believe, and this is the first mechanism, just to give you an idea of size. We're talking about this little thing, and it seemed like a great idea. It sucked. And we've got, I don't know, 400 machines out there. It's hard to deal with. It takes a little bottle, I didn't pull it out, but it goes inside. We fill this bottle up in-house. It's expensive. It's cumbersome. Our customers don't really like it. So we've been talking about a redesign. It's been, I said '06, right? What is the year now? Is it '07? No. We've been dwelling on this for a while. We've had other fish to fry. But we did redesign, and it was this year. This is the first shot out of a mold. This is, we have the final tweaks. It doesn't look like much, but it's a big change for us. It actually takes what is a bottle, a pre-filled bottle, that would go in there. And we bought some equipment that puts Parker powder in bags, and you can pour it in here. This works really well. And it's for this customer, but it's also because we sell in Latin America, Central America, in some very specialized locations, tourist attractions. And this, we believe, will get us out into the street level a little bit more, into the small tiendas, into the street vendors, other places. So we're real proud of this. Again, first shot out of a mold, our second shot. We just are waiting some final approval parts and hopefully get it in. It's about 6 months late, but 6 years late. So another item, this is the size of that. This is the mechanism that we have on all, that you use if you're out there. It's this mechanism. And so we had to add some parts this year. I spent and redesigned, you can't really tell, but basically we needed to add some agitation. And so I added a little bit of agitation to this and just had to build parts that fit within this space. The basic gist is that the user can agitate the product when we're in real hot, humid environments. We could use that on some of our flavors. So this is a redesign for us, and I spent a ton of hours on it. I have big boxes of crap. I don't know why I keep them. I should just throw them out so I don't have to look at them anymore. So here's something totally unrelated. And I actually get to a couple of victims here. There's a guy over there, maybe right there. Maybe you can come up. And then how about you right there? Yeah. So this is an exercise I did with my children. And we were in, thanks Nate. No eating yet. So we have a good infrastructure in place. I was playing around with my kids, playing golf. I'm not a golfer, so I was bored. And so I took the golf club and then was playing around balancing the golf club and said, hey kids, this is in November. What if we came up with a little game that, thanks for coming out. And I'm sorry, Karen. So I said, what if we did a little game with it, that you had something, a little stick and you had something to do with it. So, and I'll demonstrate it once. And you put this stuff down. And so this is just something fun for me to do with the kids. We got a little patent going on it, and we're gonna put it in a box. That's the front of the box, and sell it in places that sell the little, little sticks that you see other places. We sell at a bunch of toy stores, but basically you have to take this device and you have a balance stick, hence the name, and you've got to balance it. And then as you're balancing it, you have to put these little things in, right there. And so you get a free one that you guys get to do if you get it. So that's one way to do it, and I figured that was a little too easy. And so And these are all printed parts, prototypes, and so there's another way. So you stick it here. And now, when you try to put your little guy in, that's what happens. So,
Their cash prize.
yeah, you just speak at 1:30 as a matter of fact. Don't get, yeah, so you just gotta try to balance it first. Come carry it over here. My time is up, so. So one quick try, just.
No, I'm balancing. Give me some.
Okay. Two, you need more? Yeah, don't throw it at anyone. So just balance it first. Give them about 30 seconds.
Is it harder in heels?
All right. Say again?
I said, is it harder in heels?
I don't try it in heels. I haven't yet. My foot's bigger than hers. Anyway, thanks. That's just. Now, Nate's is. I'm out of time. One last slide. I think this is the last one. So, what's an entrepreneur? We had a definition earlier, but really, I hope that I conveyed the message that it's being tenacious and that you just can't give up because it's like being in a prize fight. And everyone knows it's in business here, you're starting your business, you're going to take the hits and you've got to just take them and keep moving forward. Whatever happens that's negative, it happened yesterday. Even if it was a minute ago, it happened yesterday. And just move on. Thank you guys.